Awesome. Thank you so much, Renee. And I'm going to advance the slide. Hey everyone, my name is Alex Steele. I'm a senior product manager here on the Microsoft Security Exposure Management team. I have my colleague Noy on the call too. Hey Noy. And today we are
Hi.
excited. Oh, go ahead. And today I'm excited to talk about Microsoft Security Exposure Management. And this is our fundamentally rethinking how we approach cybersecurity in an organization. Think of it as moving from fighting fires to fireproofing our digital world. In other words, how do we shift from reacting to every security crisis to getting ahead of risk before they turn into incidents? What about how do we combine all contexts we have for better prioritization and focus? And also, how do we build the teams and the organizational units that can actually do this? All right, so I do want to show this image. Can you relate to this image? Too often we maintain a false calm in the face limit of cyber risk. We assume everything's just okay, meaning like I'm fully compliant with CIS, I have patched this extremely critical CVE. Yeah, everything's just fine, even though we are one spark away from a blaze. We say this is fine until suddenly it's not fine at all. I open this with because many organizations operate exactly like this. Calm on the outside, chaos brewing underneath. And here's the reality. Teams often spend enormous efforts hardening servers, with patching and scanning and configuring, thinking that's just enough. But posture isn't just about servers. It's about the entire attack surface. So you have identities, you have permission, dormant accounts, exposed APIs, misconfigured SaaS application, and hardening servers don't help if an attacker walks through a door and the abandoned account doesn't have any MFA. So this complacency is very dangerous. Cyber risk today isn't static, it's very dynamic, it's fast moving, and it's also interconnected. We can't keep saying, "Ugh, this is fine," and while the whole house is burning down. It doesn't have to be this way. We could actually do a lot better than this is fine approach. So let's talk about why this mindset is so risky, and then how we replace it with proactive and confident security posture. All right, so here's the game plan for our session. We will start by looking into how security operations are evolving. Many of us have a security operations centers, also known as SOC, and they are focused on detecting and responding to incidents. And today I'll introduce a concept of ROC. So this is your risk operations center, which is like adding a fire prevention unit alongside your firefighters. We'll see why companies are moving this way, and next, what it entails. Next, we'll talk about making risk management a continuous process. We'll examine the maturity journey from being reactive, so always on the back foot, to proactive. That's when you're monitoring, improving, and then preemptive. And that's when you start using automation and AI to stop threats before they fully materialize. This is about a process and a mindset. And I'd like to share what each stage looked like. Third, we'll broaden the scope of what we consider vulnerability. It's not just missing patches. It could be an admin account with no MFA, a server with misconfiguration, or even an expired certificate. All kinds of things that an attacker can exploit. So we need to manage exposures, not just vulnerabilities. So we'll talk about expanding that view and how to keep it on track with these new diverse risks. Fourth, well, finding problem is great, but fixing them is what really counts. I'll discuss strategies on how to mobilize your organization to act on this. How do we bridge the gap between security teams finding issues and IT teams actually resolving them? And we'll cover techniques to prioritize, assign ownership, and even automate some of the remediation work so we can close the loop faster. And then last but not least, none of this work without the right culture, right? So we'll talk about making a security team a team sport across the org, and how do we get leadership buy-in. All right, so a little bit of reality check. Before we talk about solutions, let's understand the scale of the challenge because numbers tell a story and it's not a comforting one. Okay, so today organizations manage over average 400,000 cyber assets, and this could be servers, endpoints, identity, cloud resource, SaaS application, you name it. And with every new app and every new integration, the attack surface grows exponentially. And those assets are not just sitting pretty, they are riddled with exposures. Organizations face 830,000 security exposure on average, and that's nearly 2 exposures per asset. An attacker only just need one. Thousands of new vulnerabilities are discovered every month, and 2023 alone, over 25,000 CVEs were published. And here's the kicker. The average time to exploit a vulnerability is just 5 days. So attackers move very fast. Now compare that to us. The mean time remediation, also known as MTTR, for internet-facing vulnerability is around 58 days. Public administrator takes about 92 days. Healthcare averages around 44 days. And smaller organizations recover faster, but the gap still remains huge. And so let's think about the gap. 5 days to exploit, nearly 2 months to fix. And honestly, that's not even a gap, it's a canyon. And attackers are sprinting across it. So this is why reactive security is not enough. And we can't patch our way out of this problem. We need posture strategy that prioritize, automates, and anticipate risk before it becomes an incident. All right, so let's put all this in context of maturity journey. Security operation can be viewed along a spectrum. First is reactive security. This is the old way. This is the firefighting mode we talked about, right? You improve things only when something occurs or forces your hand. For instance, there's a big data breach at your competitor, so you rush to verify if you have the same vulnerability and then you patch it. Or you may have an auditor tell you, hey, you need to fix these 10 gaps. So you do it really quickly and you have a project to fix them. Outside those events, you're not really acting looking for trouble and it's very intermittent. And the problem is, as we saw, you end up constantly behind attackers and you're honestly playing whack-a-mole. So think of this example. It's like you are driving a car and you only decide to buckle up when you have a car accident. Well, honestly, that's not very useful. And so organizations stuck in reactive mode often have a false sense of security during quiet times, and they scramble madly during crisis, and it's very stressful and it's very risky. All right, and now we're moving on to the second box, which is proactive security, which is today's best practice. Here you have a set of continuous processes to manage risk. This is where our framework like continuous threat exposure management, also known as CTEM, comes in. And this is something that Gartner has been talking about for a while. Instead of one and done checkups, you have an ongoing cycle. You have regularly discovered vulnerabilities and exposure. You assess which are most critical, you fix them, you verify those fixes, and then you start all over. Maybe you run this cycle monthly or continuously without automation. My apologies, with automation. And the key is you're not waiting for a breach to start improving your security. You're doing it as part of your routine. I want to repeat this. You're doing this as part of your routine. For example, you might have a practice that every week or a month, you review the latest findings and push out fixes to the top risk. Or you might have a quarterly objective like, saying we will want to reduce our high risky vulnerabilities by 50% this quarter. So that's another example. And work towards that systematically. Proactive also means threat hunting. You also have a red teaming on your own systems. And you're generally being encouraged where you might get hit next. It's like wearing a seatbelt and you're driving alertly. You're not expecting to crash, but you're ready and trying to avoid it actively. This proactive approach is where many leading companies are now, and that's when rock concept lives. You're continuously monitoring your cyber health and you're scrubbing the risk. All right, and we're now looking at box number 3, and that is preemptive security, and this is our feature. And what this is talking about is emerging with advanced technology. Preemptive means you are anticipating and neutralizing threat even before they fully materialize, and often automation AI. Think about an AI system that's watching your network 24/7, and the moment it sees a pattern that looks like it's a very early stage of the attack, it automatically takes an action to stop it. Maybe it sees unusual login and a vulnerability system, and the sequence says, I need to patch this right away through automation, or maybe I'll isolate it from a network until someone checks. So we're talking about self-healing system in a way, and some of this is already starting. For instance, some cloud platforms can auto-fix certain misconfiguration that the moment they arises, or endpoint security might automatically roll back files when ransomware is detected. As AI gets better, we'll see more of this. Security controls that adopt in real time without needing a human in the loop for common recognizable issues. It's like a self-driving car. It might sense an accident about to happen and take action to avoid it faster than a human could ever react. In cyber, that could drastically reduce the time window an attacker may have by catching them at the inception of an attack. So we can think about these in phases. Most organizations left are pure reactive mode, so hopefully your organization is not there, and you're aiming to be proactive, right? And so I know that preemptive is very buzzwordy today, so my apologies for that. But it's where we need to head in the future, and things like AI-driven security, autonomous mitigation. So the most important thing you want to ask yourself if you look at this diagram is, where's my organization on the spectrum? Are you reactive? Okay, if you are reactive, how do I get to proactive? And if you're proactive, okay, can I introduce automation? Can I do better so I can fully be preemptive in my future? So these are some food of thought. My apologies. These are some things to consider as you reach your security maturity level. All right. So we've seen why reactive security isn't enough. The cane between attacker speed and defender speed is too wide, right? And so what's the alternative? Now you enter the Risk Operations Center, also known as ROC. So that's ROC. And ROCs represent fundamental shift in how we manage cyber risk. Unlike traditional SOCs, SOCs, I just want to emphasize that focuses on post-breach detection and containment. ROCs concentrate on continuous risk identification, exposure management, and preventative remediation. So this is not just an acronym, this is a new operating model for a security. And we have a couple of things that we need to discuss. The first one is proactive risk management, and that's anticipating and identifying potential risk before exploitation. And think of it as spotting the storm before it even hits, right? Next, you have centralized risk oversight. That's when you're aggregating risk data across the entire attack surface, and that includes cloud, endpoints, identity, so decisions are not siloed. After that, you have cross-functional collaboration, and that's when security does not work in isolation. Raw facility coordination between security, IT teams, compliance, and business unit. And then for the last two, we have business aligned risk communication. That's when you're translating technical risk into business impact metrics. Because executives are not just caring about CVEs, they want to understand the revenue and the reputation too, as well. And then last but not least, continuous monitoring. That's when you provide real-time visibility into organizational risk posture and not just quarterly snapshot. It has to be continuous dynamic insights. Move on to the next slide. If you take one thing away from this session, let it be this. Security posture isn't a one-time project, it's continuous discipline. And to make the discipline work at scale, we need a systematic approach. That's where the continuous threat exposure management, also known as CTEM, comes in. Think of CTEM as the operating system for practice security. So why does CTEM exist? Traditional vulnerability management is like taking a single snapshot of your health. It tells you how you're doing today, but tomorrow, everything could change. CTEM is the difference between a one-time health check and a continuous wellness program. It's very dynamic, it's also iterative, and it's a business aligned. And the problem that it solves is organizations today manage hundreds and thousands of assets and face hundreds and thousands of exposures. And well, without a structured approach, teams drown in alerts. Not only that, they also drown in tickets. And CTEM brings order to that chaos. It turned posture management into repeatable, measurable process that takes scale. So for example, again, imagine discovering 10,000 exposure, and without CTEM, you're very overwhelmed. With CTEM, you're able to scope critical assets. You're also able to prioritize the top 50 that matter the most, validate those fixes, and automate remediation. That is efficiency. That is resilience. And CTEM could transform posture management into a continuous measurable process. It aligns its security priorities with business objective, because risk isn't just technical. Risk could also be financial and reputational too as well. So it creates a repeatable framework that scales across teams and technology. CTEM is the engine behind ROC. It's how we operationalize proactive security and making risk management systematic, not just only ad hoc. Without CTEM, ROC is just a concept. With CTEM, ROC becomes a strategic capabilities, and CTEM is just not just a framework, it's a mind shift. It is moving us from reactive firefighting to proactive resilience. And there's a couple of phases of CTEM here on the screen that you can look at. So there's 5 phases. First is scoping. That's when you're identifying critical assets. Discovery, that's when you're having vulnerability assessment across hybrid environments. Prioritization, which is the third step, that is risk-based ranking. After that, you have validation. You're testing your security measures. And then last but not least, mobilization. That's when you coordinate remediation efforts with clear accountability and progress tracking. Cool. So we talked about the people who steer exposure management and the C10 process that keeps it systematic, right? Now let's talk about the technology that makes it real at scale. Microsoft Security Exposure Management, also known as MSIM. MSIM is the engine that powers the ROC. It operationalizes CTEM end-to-end with scoping, discovery, prioritization, validation, and mobilization across your entire attack surface. It's not just another scanner or silo tool. It's a unified platform, I want to emphasize, unified platform designed for continuous risk management and also risk reduction too. So what MSIM does? First, it provides you a unified exposure view. It brings together exposure across identity, endpoints, cloud, SaaS, data, even code pipeline. So you see the full picture. Noi has a wonderful demo that she will do, and she'll show you all the cool features, including the unified exposure view. Next, you have context-aware prioritization. So you're able to rank exposure based on business impact, exploitability, and attack path, not just CVSS scores. We also provide attack path validation. So this is where we use graph-based analysis and breach simulations to confirm which risks are real and how they chain across assets. Couple more feature, we have critical asset protection. So that's where you're able to automatically classify crown jewel, sensitive data stores, privileged identities, and critical endpoints. So if you're using Microsoft Defender for Cloud, this is the same engine that we're leveraging to as well for critical assets. Last but not least, mobilization and governance. That's where you're able to assign owners, track SLAs, and provide guided remediation workflows to close gaps quickly and measurably. So with MSIM, ROC is actionable. You move from finding problems to proving risk and removing it. It is very continuous at scale. So some of the MSIM functionality, again, and Noah is going to do a wonderful demo about this. First, you have scoping, discovery, prioritization. Now, within MSIM, you're able to automatically classify your assets. We have 2 ways to do this. You're able to use predefined rules based on our MSIM engine, where we automatically classify your assets, or we know that every organization is not the same, right? And you might have to use your own classification. And so we do have a built-in query that you can leverage within MSIM to automatically classify your assets on your own terms. Next, we have the capability to map out assets and relationships. So we automatically reveal unmonitored assets. So this is discovery, and map those relationships to uncover gaps and risks. And we also provide understand prioritization. So your entire attack surface is swiftly identified, prioritized, and remediated. Another thing I want to emphasize is attackers don't think in silos, they think in graphs. And it is very important to gain an attacker's perspective. And with this, we provide attack path analysis. This is very similar to the one that is provided to Microsoft Defender for Cloud under the Defender CSPM plan. And with this, you're able to identify critical choke points and you're able to visualize assets relationship. And then last but not least, exposure insights. And with exposure insights, this help answer critical questions, identify risk quantification, it provides you security metrics and recommendation, and also provides effective mobilization too as well. So this will all be covered within the demo. All right. So security has traditionally been split into 2 worlds, posture management and threat detection. Each is critical, but when they operate in isolation, we create blind spots. And attackers exploit those blind spots. And this slide shows how we build 2 strong parallel operating systems collaborate each other, and enrich each other. So with these two models, it complement each other in a powerful way. ROCs significantly improve SOC operation by reducing the volume and complexity of incidents that require response. Through proactive vulnerability management and exposure reduction, ROCs decrease the attack surface availability to threat actors, resulting in fewer success breaches and security events. This reduction in incident volume allows SOC analysts to focus only on genuine threat rather than managing alert fatigue. And alert fatigue can be very tiresome. Additionally, ROCs also provide SOCs with enhanced threat intelligence and business content that improves incident prioritization and response effectiveness. By understanding which assets are more critical to business operation and their associated risk level, SOC team can make more informed decisions about resources allocation and also incident response. So with that being said, I'm going to advance forward to the next screen and I'm going to pass it over to Noi.
Thank you, Alex. Let me share my screen. Great. So thanks all for joining today. I will walk you through the key areas of Microsoft Security Exposure Management that you should look at when starting your journey with our platform and help you prioritize. So this is the overview page of Microsoft Security Exposure Management. In here, you can see the amount of devices, cloud resource, and identities that exposure management identify in your environment. In this specific case, this is my demo environment. You can see that I have 100 devices, 170,000 of cloud resources, and 8,000 of identities. The first thing that I suggest you to do is handling the critical asset, which appears in here down the page. First, I will suggest go to the critical asset management page. In here, you will be able to see all the predefined classification. In this case, I have in here 130 predefined classifications. All of them are automatically created by Microsoft in your environment based on tag and based on roles. So let's take one of them as an example. Okay, so if you look at this domain controller classification, so you can see that Microsoft created that on June last year. You can see that I have two assets in here. Those two assets can be either classified automatically by Microsoft or enter the pending approval tab and you approve that. We put in pending approval usually assets that we are not 100% sure that are critical. We want you to verify it. And then you can click on that plus and they will be added to assets, which in here will have only what we are certain that are critical. So we can see one of them was approved by Microsoft, which means we were certain that it's truly critical. And the second one was approved by a user, means we were not sure and the user helped us to understand that it's truly critical. Also, you can see in here the option to turn off. So sometimes you will find some classification that might not be relevant to your organization, or it might not helping you with prioritizing. So you would like to turn it off, you can do it. Other thing you can do is to lower the criticality level. So you can also create a new classification based on your specific organizational needs. So let's say, for example, I want to create a classification to catch all Alpine devices in my environment. So I will mention here all Alpine devices. I will choose device, then I will choose device name, starts with Alpine. Then it will populate for me the list of assets that's relevant for this specific criteria. I will be able to do next. I can choose the criticality level to fit this specific need. And you can see that I now created a new classification based on my organizational needs. Once I click on submit, it will be applied to all environments. So this is about handling your critical assets with, this is the first thing you will need to do in order to be able to prioritize better. The second thing I will suggest you to do is go again to this critical asset summary and click on this one. This one, internet-facing critical devices, will show you the critical devices in your environment that are internet exposed, which means that you want to handle it first. So it will take you to device inventory and it will filter for you the list of devices by the criteria. Once I'm clicking on that, I will be able to see that it has two tagging. One of them is test because someone put a tag and that it's internet facing. If I'm scrolling down, we can see all the details about this virtual machine. You can see that it's the IP address. I can see that it's onboarded to MDE. I can see when it was last seen and all other details that might be relevant. I can see that I also have one incident. If I want to see more details about the specific issues that I have on this specific device, I can either open Summarize by Copilot or open the device page. Once I'm opening the device page, I can see all the security recommendations, but I will show you how to do it also from different places within exposure management. So keep in mind the name of the device, Alpine Server 1. So the second thing you will need to do if you want to make sure you're protected and to harden your security state, so you will want to use initiatives. Initiative can help you to focus on one single area of assets and one single workload if you wish to. So in that specific cases, we have, for example, business email compromise, which you can see it's coming from various workloads, but we have also endpoint that's coming only from Defender for endpoint. We have identity coming from Enter ID, Defender for identity, and Defender for cloud apps, and also ransomware coming from endpoint, cloud, Office, identity, cloud apps, and Enter ID. So let's start with endpoint security. So my initiative score in here is 74%, means that I am protected in 74%. I can also, if you see I have a target score, I can also moderate it if I want to put goals for myself. And I can see also the initiative description. Monitor the coverage and configuration of physical and virtual workstation, servers, and mobile phone. I can also see the history of my score over the past 14 days. I can see what happened in each point in time. So let's choose one metric and look at it. So we have in here security metrics and we have security recommendations. So the initiative score is driven by the security metrics, and each security metrics drive by more than one or more recommendations. So in that case, the metric endpoints without tamper protection enabled based on 2 security recommendations. We can see that the weight of this security metric is high. The progress is around 12%, means that I need to do a lot of work to be truly protected within this specific recommendation. I have 59 affected assets and my score will go up in almost 9%, which is something that I really want to do. So I will enter the recommendation. I will click on the first one so I can show you an example. So it makes sense. Our recommendation is to turn on tamper protection. You can see in here a description on this recommendation, the potential risk behind this recommendation, and also insight. For example, only 9% of my devices in my organization are configured as recommended, which is not good. So if I want to fix it, I can use the remediation options on the list of the exposed devices, which you can see that it's already sorted by the criticality level. And I can also export it if I want to handle it in a different place other than a Defender portal. And as like a lot of recommendation initiative, the specific recommendation, if I will fix it, it will affect the score in 34 different initiatives. You can see that most of them are threat actors, but we have also ransomware and zero trust. 2 options that I also have in here is request remediation and exception. Request remediation, in here I am able to create a ticket in Intune. I am able to create a due date, set a priority and put some notes. With exception option, I'm able to, for example, if I know that I'm going to work on that for the next couple of weeks, I can put a comment like plan remediation, grace period, and set a duration for like 60 days or 30 days, depends on what I'm going to do. And after this period, I will be able to see if I fix this recommendation on most of the devices I wanted to. Great. So let's now see the Cloud Secure Initiative. This new initiative is a bit different because it's driven by Defender for Cloud. You can see we have here the Cloud Secure Score, new Cloud Secure Score. We have amount of critical asset, and we have also how much of my environment is protected by Defender CSPM. In here, I can see security recommendation separated by 3 categories. In that case, I will use all. So in here, I can see that I have a lot of recommendations. I have 820 recommendations per asset. I can also use recommendation title if I want to look from a different angle, but I will use this view for now. So how can I prioritize? So the first thing I will do is I will choose critical or high to be a filter in the risk level. The second thing that I will do is I will look at other filters that I can add. But what I really want to do is I want to search for the asset that we saw before, the Alpine server, because we know it's exposed to the internet and it's critical. Okay, great. So we can see that on Alpine server, we have 6 recommendations. I want to fix first the recommendation that attract most of the attack paths. So we can see this one. So I will click on it. So the recommendation in here is update .NET framework, update .NET framework to a later version to mitigate 25 known vulnerabilities affecting your devices. I can see more details. I have in here also remediation step to how to fix this specific recommendation. I can see the asset on a map, how it's connected to more critical asset, key vault, and storage count. And I can see also the associated CVEs. And if I'm clicking on that, I will have also more details that might be relevant for me to investigate it. Great. So this is about that. So now let's look at it from a different angle. So we spoke about attack path, but let's see how we find it in attack path. So in attack path, we have 2 views. One of them is attack paths, and the second one is choke points. I will show you how it looks like in attack path, for example. So when I am entering attack path, I usually go to risk level and change the grouping to show me by that, because I want to prioritize the most. In here, I can see that I have only 8 critical attack paths, so I will start with those. I will want to take something that the target criticality is critical, and I can see that I have 3. Okay, so I will choose the first one. Let's see. Internet exposed Azure VM with high severity vulnerabilities allows lateral movement to critical Azure storage account with sensitive data. I can see I have some description and MITRE attacks, and if I'm opening it on a map, I can see the specific path. Great. So we can see that we have the asset in here, found by Defender for Cloud and Defender for Endpoint, which can authenticate as this managed identity, which has permission to this storage with sensitive information. So we want to fix it. The way to fix it is clicking on recommendation. And here you will see the same recommendation that we saw before, if you remember that, the update.NET framework. So we go to the same asset, we go to the same recommendation, just from a more prioritized and focused view. The second thing is choke points. Choke points are usually assets that has a lot of attack path or a lot of connectivity to critical target, things that you want to fix if the risk level is high, or even any risk level, depend on what you're able to do in the time you have to fix. So I don't have a lot of time right now, so I will prioritize like I'm doing with all the pages. So I see that I have 3 high risk levels, and I can see again Alpine Server 1 in here. I want to fix this device, so I will click on that. And you can see the page will look exactly like it was look like in the device inventory when we got it from the critical asset with Internet Exposed. The same view, show me all the data, the vulnerabilities. I'm able to see also blast radius like we saw before, and it will again take me to the device page or Copilot or to see it in a map. So it all connected in this specific platform. All of the functions in here are to help you prioritize, help you being focused, fix issues, be more secure. The last thing that I wanted to show you is about data connectors. So I think you're aware of it, that Microsoft connects all Microsoft licenses that you have by default to exposure management. For example, Defender for Endpoint, Identity, Cloud Apps, Cloud, Office, Vulnerability Management, Defender for IoT, and the Microsoft Entra ID. Those are connected by default if you have those specific licenses. We have also external connectors, third party. Currently, we are supporting ServiceNow, Qualys, Rapid7, Tenable, Wiz, and Palo Alto Prisma Cloud. And when I'm clicking on that, you can see what I need to do in order to connect it. It's showing me a description, also connected since, and data last received. So yeah, this is about Microsoft Security Exposure Management. I hope you enjoyed the demo. And you learned from it how to prioritize.
One thing I do want to emphasize with Microsoft Security Exposure Management is if you're using one of our security tools right now, so Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you can leverage this tool today at no additional cost. So feel free to use Microsoft Security Exposure Management in the Microsoft Defender portal today.
So the question says, if we already use Defender for Cloud, do we also need a license for MSEM?
No, if you're leveraging Defender for Cloud, specifically the Defender CSPM plan or Defender for Service PT plan, you're able to leverage MSEM today.
Awesome. And then, oh, go ahead.
Yep. Outside Defender for Cloud, if you're using any of our other security products too, I just mentioned this, like Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity, you're able to leverage MSEM today too as well.
Great. And then another question says, can we use MSEM to track risk at business unit level?
Noi, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, what was the question?
The question says, can we use MSEM to track risk at business unit level?
Yeah, I think that using the initiative, you can use it from a different angle, depend on the specific needs of your organization.
Perfect. Great. Well, it looks like those were all of our questions. So thank you so much, Alex and Noi, for being our guests today and for sharing the great information with our community. Also, thank you to the Q&A team who helped us with answering the questions and providing the resourceful information. To all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So join us at aka.ms/securitycommunity. This is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and other announcements. For those of you who may have additional questions on the topic we just covered or other product-related questions, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech community discussion space at aka.ms/MDC community. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.